There's a lot of crazy things going on out there in the gaming world with the news and whatnot. This merger with Microsoft and Activision has been an ongoing thing, and nobody's really 100% how this is going to play out. But the other day, when I saw this tweet from Phil Spencer stating that Microsoft's entered into a 10-year commitment to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo following the merger of Microsoft and Activision Blizzard King, I was like, are they trying to get ahead of things here? Like, where did this all of a sudden come from? Nintendo hasn't had a Call of Duty in a while. Is it possible you could bring Call of Duty to the Switch now? Sure, they could have brought it to the Switch, but they chose not to for whatever reason, Activision Blizzard. They could have brought, I was always thinking like, maybe the mobile version, of Call of Duty, they could tweak that, bring it to the Switch. I don't know. Definitely it wouldn't be on par with what's available on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox, but they could bring that experience to the Switch. They've just chose not to so far. So when I saw this, it was like, okay, yeah, they got to be getting ahead of things here. And he also stated that he's pleased to confirm that Microsoft has committed to continue to offer Call of Duty on Steam simultaneously to Xbox after they've closed the deal, right? So a lot of interesting things going on here. And we're going to talk about a couple things, right, with this merger and the future of gaming type of thing. But I did see a lot of talk about Sony pretty much like knocking all of this, saying it's misleading. The report says Activision Blizzard can supply Call of Duty on Nintendo platforms now, which is kind of my thought. And they have not. But they state, however, they don't, as Nintendo's audience is younger and is not interested in the first-person shooter. And a previous version of the game on its console was a commercial flop. Call of Duty Ghosts on the Wii U came out in 2013. That was the last one on a Nintendo system. And the Wii U wasn't that much of a success. So yeah, a lot of games didn't do very well on that system. But at the same time, this just seems odd. Like, I see so many kids out there who play first-person shooters. Tons of kids love Call of Duty. Just doesn't make sense to hear this. Is that really the reason that Activision hasn't brought it to the Switch? Because the audience is younger? As a business, I don't think you really give two craps about that. You just want to make that money. And there's so many damn Nintendo Switches out there. It just seems like it has been a missed opportunity to bring that franchise to the Switch, right? It just hasn't so far. So it states that Sony argues that the licensing agreement Microsoft has with Nintendo is designed to make Microsoft appear to be cooperating with regulators. So Sony, if this is stuff that Sony's actually said, I could see how people could think this, because I kind of thought, there's something going on here. They state that, and with what Phil Spencer said to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo, they never said the Switch. They never said the Switch. Switch is like kind of long in the tooth right now as far as performance power goes. It's very far behind, but it's extremely popular as well. But they never said the Switch. They just said Nintendo. But they're stating here that what does it say? It says it could potentially take years to develop a version of the franchise to be compatible with the Switch, which could make the 10-year deal meaningless. I don't think it really would have to take them years, but it doesn't make sense so far that they haven't done it. Like, they've left money on the table, but they've probably been bringing in money all over the place, all over your face, everywhere else, that they're just like, you know what, we have to put so much effort into the Switch version. I don't think it necessarily means like, oh, it's a lot of little kids playing the Switch, we're not going to make money. No, I doubt it. Like, I think they would sell like crazy on the Switch with Call of Duty. It's just, I think they wanted to focus on other things. Like, yeah, we don't want to dedicate time to that right now. I don't think it has to do with the age of the audience. But they go on to state that it's easier for Nintendo to enter into an agreement with Microsoft than them, as Nintendo doesn't need to worry about equal treatment for its subscription service or cloud gaming service, as those are not areas where it currently competes aggressively. So essentially they're saying Nintendo's not our competitor. So it's like Nintendo's kind of doing their own thing. So for them to, come into an agreement with Sony, or with Microsoft, not Sony, is not that big of a deal, right? Now today, this popped up. The FTC seeks to block Microsoft's corporation's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Agency alleges that maker the Xbox would gain control of top video game franchises, enabling it to harm competition in high-performance gaming consoles and subscription services by denying or degrading rivals' access to its popular content. And it goes a bit further than that. We'll take a look at another a tweet from a person with Activision Blizzard in a second here. But the main thing here is this director of the FTC's Bureau of Competition, Holly Vidova, states Microsoft has already shown that it can and will withhold content from its gaming rivals. And that's true with every company. Let's be honest here. Like I said, I'm not taking sides. I got all these consoles. I like them all, just well. Not taking sides here, but all these companies. Where's people bitching that Nintendo don't put Mario on PlayStation or Xbox? Where's people bitching that, Sony's not putting God of War on Xbox? It goes all ways, but, it's talking about like, hey, established companies with games out there that are huge type of thing that have been multi-platform for the most part. Now it's quite possible Microsoft could gobble that up and keep it to themselves. And consumers on the other side of the fence who only own one console or the other could suffer, right? So they state, today we seek to stop Microsoft from gaining control over a leading independent game studio and using it to harm competition. So that kind of goes back into that Phil Spencer tweet where it was like, hey, we're making these deals. We are making these deals. I didn't see Sony mentioned here, but then in this tweet from Lulu Cheng Mezevri, if I'm saying her name correctly, my apologies if I'm not, but she's EVP Corporate Affairs and CCO of Activision Blizzard, right? And down here, she states the FTC's job is to protect consumers, not competitors. Okay. This vote departs from precedent, but the law hasn't changed. Any claim the deal's anti-competitive ignores the facts. The deal benefits gamers in the industry, especially given competition from abroad. We look forward to proving our case in court and closing our deal with Microsoft. We want Call of Duty to be enjoyed by more players around the world. That requires Call of Duty being on diverse platforms after the merger of Microsoft. Microsoft has said consistently they want the same thing and are fully committed to make it happen. To back it up, Microsoft has offered 10-year guarantees to Call of Duty to Nintendo, which has been agreed to, Steam, which has been agreed to, and Sony. They made the 10-year deal to Sony, but it's to be determined because they haven't agreed to anything because Sony's getting a little butthurt over there, right? You remember, like, Sony, they would always have, like, the exclusives with Call of Duty and whatnot. And it kind of, things have soured, it seems. It definitely seems. So Sony's kind of, they're not happy with this, right? She states it's great news for gamers. We applaud Microsoft's commitment and we're excited to grow the Call of Duty community together after the merger closes. All this focus on Call of Duty, because it's a huge franchise. I don't really care about Call of Duty as much as I once did, maybe like 10 years ago. I don't know, 8-10 years ago. I used to really be into Call of Duty, but it just kind of turned into something where I didn't enjoy it as much anymore. I do like the occasional, zombies, that kind of thing. But it's still huge. My, personal gaming preferences are my own. Yeah, I haven't really enjoyed a Call of Duty too much as of late. But yeah, that's the main thing they talk about is Call of Duty. But what about all the other franchises? That Diablo 4 is coming out next year, supposedly. I'm looking forward to that more than anything. I've been a Diablo fan for a long time. All the other franchises that these guys own. It's just kind of an interesting thing. Where does it go from here? Is this actually going to happen? Is this actually going to be blocked? Every company does this in different ways. They buy developers, they buy studios, and I think it's just with how big Call of Duty is, how big Blizzard franchises are, Overwatch, World of Warcraft, Diablo, that kind of stuff, that this is getting a lot of eyes on it, and it's just it's getting a little crazy. It looks like in this complaint they also stated Microsoft decided to make several of Bethesda's titles, including Starfield and Redfall, Microsoft exclusives, despite assurances it had given to European antitrust authorities that it had no incentive to withhold games from rival consoles. It's just kind of fun. Like, you see the Sony MLB game, the show on Xbox day one. Like, so I think, like, and on Game Pass too. So it's just, I'm not taking sides on any of this. I don't really care if Microsoft took over all this, as long as I could still play the games that I want to play, and if they're still available on PC. Like, I want to play Diablo 4 on PC. I don't care if that goes to consoles. Some people may, because it may be the only way they have a chance to play it.
But everybody's situation is different. I get it. So some people will be looking at this with a more critical eye towards certain aspects of it. Like they want Call of Duty for everyone, or they think, no, Microsoft's really going to just keep Call of Duty to themselves. I mean, that 10-year deal, they've put that guarantee out there. 10 years, you got it. But who's to say once that 10 years is up, and I hate to break it to you, 10 years goes by quick. It may not seem like it does, but it does. Once that 10 years is up, who's to say Microsoft doesn't just say, hey, you know what? Screw you guys. We're keeping the game to ourselves now. We fulfilled that agreement, right? But then also, if this all gets blocked, is that going to be the best thing for everyone, for consumers, for all the companies involved? Is it going to be a bad thing? Because what else could happen? This all gets blocked. Activision, Blizzard, their relationship will be, it kind of seems like it's a little soured with Sony already. Even though Sony always had those like exclusive, like, first releases, all that kind of stuff for the longest time. If this doesn't happen, Activision could just be like, you know what? We're going to stick to the plan. Xbox is going to get our games, Microsoft, Steam, Nintendo. But you know what? Screw you, Sony. We're going to leave you in the dust. Like, could that happen? Like, it's just a lot of weirdness, man. Let me know what you guys think. Not my normal type of video, but I do find this stuff interesting, just reading through, seeing all the reactions out there. It's nuts, man. Appreciate you guys. Bye.